Well, hello once again. This is me, Leonard Wells, broadcasting from Haslingden, north of Manchester in the UK, on Sunday the 27th of February 2011. And I'm going to talk tonight a little bit about King George VI of England. He was born Albert. He had other names, but I will stick with Albert. And he was born on the 14th of December, 1895. So we're going back in time into the 19th century. He served in the Royal Navy in World War I and later in the Royal Air Force. His elder brother, Edward, who was, to put it mildly, a womanizer, became king as Edward VIII on the 20th of January 1936. Now, as a rule in this life, the very nature of the particular sin that we commit has a habit of coming round and biting us in the proverbial. And in his case, this is exactly what happened. Luckily for us, and we were very fortunate in this, he chanced to meet an American woman called Wallis Simpson, a divorcee, who was known to be a man chaser. I don't think there is a word manizer like there is a womanizer, but anyway, that was what people said of him. Edward was a weak man, and she was a strong woman and ambitious, and she instinctively recognized her power and his weakness, and he became totally dominated and besotted by this woman. Fortunately for us, the British government at the time, under Stanley Baldwin, refused to permit him to marry her and remain king. So on the night of the 10th of December, 1936, he formally abdicated from the throne, and his brother Albert became our noble king as King George VI. In this, I observe the hand of God. For this, George VI was a man worthy in every sense of the word to be honoured as our true sovereign, just as his brother was unworthy. George VI had a feeling for the common man, rich or poor, and this came across in all his speeches. He used to arrange, and this was one of his hobbies, for groups of children from a variety of classes to come together in the belief that this would encourage our people to feel as one. Despite an appalling shyness and an almost crippling stammer, he made some memorable speeches. Indeed, the film The King's Speech delves into this aspect of his life, and I believe that this evening or tonight, the film may be awarded an Oscar or two, especially for what I understand is a great performance by Colin Firth as the King. George VI made a wonderful speech at the outbreak of war, which had many people in tears. I was born just after the outbreak of war, and I'm very moved by all this. He spoke solemnly and gently, but with total resolve, and his words touched all our hearts and still do. For me, his speech on Christmas Day 1939 was heartrending. In it, he quoted a few lines from a famous poem, And I'd like to read it out to you a little bit more than the lines that he gave. You will notice, and this comes across to me, whenever our good king spoke of God, he did so in a voice which made it crystal clear that he didn't just believe in God, he knew for certain. And this is the poem from which he quoted a few lines. It's called The Gate of the Year, and it's by Marie-Louise Haskins. And I said to the man who stood at the gate of the year, give me a light that I may tread safely into the unknown. And he replied, go out into the darkness and put your hand into the hand of God. That shall be better to you than light and safer than a known way. So I went forth, excuse me, and finding the hand of God, trod gladly into the night, and he led me towards the hills and the breaking of day in the lone east. So heart, be still. What need our little life, our human life, to know, if God hath comprehension? In all the dizzy strife of things both high and low, God hideth his intention. That was a very moving poem, which King George quoted a few lines from. Having given us his all during the war, he died on Wednesday, the 6th of February, 1952. I can remember the headmaster coming into our classroom and announcing that the king was dead and that we could all go home immediately at lunchtime. It meant so little to us young boys that we were a little joyful, and I'm sorry that I was too. He left us many happy memories and a great queen in the person of Her Majesty, our present Queen Elizabeth. I am very proud to have been born British. Thank you, and good night, one and all, while it is still legal in the UK to say God bless. I say God bless to you.